Hello, my name is Roberto Rockwell, and today we're going to be showing you some key features about the Vortex 4200. How to install ink tanks, how to install print heads and media, as well as calibrating the media and cleaning the platen area of the machine. Okay, so we're going to take a look at replacing the ink tanks now. So we're going to open up two menus here. One of them is going to be the status screen for the engine. And we'll just put this to the side. It lets us know where the ink levels are at. And then the other thing we're going to open up is the diagnostics screen. And we'll go to the maintenance tab. And then all you need to do is select Access Ink Tanks. And then once we select Access Ink Tanks, you can see on your status screen how all of the inks have gone empty. And then at this point, we can go ahead and change, disconnect the ink tanks and install new ink tanks. Okay, so now we'll go over and disconnect the ink tanks. So we can take this cover off. And then, for example, we'll disconnect the cyan. So it's just a quick disconnect to remove the cyan ink, and then an electrical connection, and then we can just lift it up and exchange it out for another tank. We'll go ahead and connect the ink line. There is a little bit of ink that might come out, so it's nice to have a drop cloth available or something to catch it if you need it. And then we can put the cover back on, and then we'll move back over to the GUI to finish the installation. So now we come back to the GUI and we can say finished ink tanks. Real quick, as a side note, you can see here where it's got a check mark instead of a red X, and it signifies that it's okay to access the ink tanks. So after we come over here and say finished ink tank access, we can come back over here, and now you'll see that it says do not remove ink tanks, and it's also populated all of the ink cartridges with appropriate levels. Next, we're going to show you how to remove a print head and install a print head. So we'll open up the status screen for the printer, and then we'll open up the diagnostics menu and go to the maintenance tab. We have a section here for removing the print head, where we can select one or all print heads to remove. So for this example, we're just going to select print head 2, and we're going to say remove print head. And if we come back here to our status, you can see here where it's saying removing print head, step 1 of 1, and then there's 30 seconds remaining. So next we're going to remove the cover to access the print heads. And then here you can see that we've selected print head 2, which is located right here. You can see the ink tubes are empty here as compared to ink tubes that are full here. And we can just pull back on this lever and release the latch, which pulls back the valves. Then we can take and push the print head back away from the print head controller board, and it lifts straight out. We can take our new head and we can put it back into the machine. The new head will have some tape on two sides, one covering up the nozzle area and one covering up the contact area to put back in. When you put this back in, you want to make sure that these contacts make good connection with your print head controller board. So we're just going to slide this back in slightly at an angle away from us, push down to make sure it's down all the way, and then we're going to pull it back towards you. And then we can close the latch and it snaps into place. And then next we can go back to the Liberty and start the priming of the head to finish the installation. Back up here, and we'll say select the print head that we want to prime, which is print head 2, and we'll say install and prime print head. So you can see here where the status is saying that it's priming the print head, and it's on step 2 of 7 so far, and it's going to be an 8-minute process. So now you can see that the printhead installation has finished and that everything is ready to go with the printer. As well as down here, you can see where printhead 2 now has the colors filled in and they're no longer grayed out, indicating that it has been primed. Okay, so next we're going to show you how to install media onto the machine. So we'll open up these doors just by simply pushing on them. And then the shafts for the media will simply pull right out. And there's a lever here on the side which you can push to the open position, and then it should slide right out. When we install the media, we want it so that when this is located in the machine, that the media comes off the roll on this side. Okay, so we'll put that onto the shaft accordingly. Sometimes the media is going to be too heavy for you to lift it up like that, but if you can do it this way. If not, you might be doing this from the media laying down on its side. And then we'll put the outside hub on. This one's liking to stick on that end for some reason. Oops. So we'll have to adjust that here once it's on the machine. Then you've got bearings on each end, one right here and one right here, that fit into the machine. So you just want to make sure that the bearings are put into place and that it's not offset. Okay. So sometimes you can get into a place where it's not sitting quite right, like it is now. So you can see how my bearing is way off there, and then my bearing's not even sitting in the machine on that side. So you don't want it to be like that when you put it in.
Okay.
You want it to be like so. Okay? And next we can recenter the roll just by loosening this up.
Tape measure?
Yeah, where's that tape measure?
Coming to you.
Thank you. So since we don't have a 30-inch position, I'm just going to measure 3 inches off the 36-inch line to center it. And then we lock that down. Next thing we can do is we'll take a knife and we'll cut the paper tape off. I'm not really worried about the tape that gets remained on the roll or anything like that. We're just going to pass that through. The only concern that you might have with tape being on the roll is that if it's sticking up high enough to where it's going to hit the head, okay, then you might want to go ahead and cut that off. But by default, when you do your first print, it's going to do a first cut job, which removes a predetermined length off the outside of the roll. So on smaller rolls, that length is big enough. On larger rolls, you might have still, like a piece of the tape on the far side of the roll still remaining. The other thing that I like to do is you can also run a calibration on the media when you first install it. It takes the place of the first cut, and it also removes a greater length of media. So it's nice to do from the beginning. So after you've got this ready to load, then you're going to come up to the screen and you're going to select paper handling, and we're at the roll 1 position, which is the upper one, and we're going to go load paper. We can either select from predefined defaults here on the left hand side, or we can enter in the exact unit that we have. So I'm going to select my unit of measure to be inches, and the number of inches for the width is going to be 30. And then for my length, I've got a 300-foot length roll, which is 360 inches. So I'm going to select inches, and I'm going to select 3,600. And then I'm going to say finish. So after you select finish, the motor for the feed is going to be running. So all you have to do is just insert the media and push it up to the first set of rollers, and then it takes it. And once the roller feeds, the paper feeds up to the first sensor on the back, it stops and it's ready to print. So next we'll come over here and we can take a look at the screen, and you can see that my roll 1 has changed from a red indicating that there's nothing loaded to a green status there saying that it's loaded, and then it also tells me what the width of the roll is and the number of inches remaining on the roll. Next we'll go to our maintenance screen,